The year 2025 has brought a wave of global backlash against the United States that few saw coming, and it's unfolding fast. Across Europe, Asia, Latin America, and even parts of Africa, a coordinated movement to boycott US products is gaining momentum. And it's not just about economics. This is about politics, power, and a global message being sent to Washington. In this video, we're going to break down why this boycott is happening, who's behind it, what industries are being hit the hardest, and what it means for the future of American influence in the world. From tech and agriculture to fashion and fast food, the brands that once dominated foreign markets are now finding themselves on the receiving end of a new kind of resistance. The boycott isn't just symbolic. There are already visible impacts on trade flows, consumer choices, and diplomatic relations. The story begins with the resurgence of the America First doctrine in US foreign policy, as the current administration rolled back multilateral trade agreements, imposed steep tariffs on long-standing allies, and publicly clashed with the leadership of NATO, the EU, and various G7 nations. Many countries began to reconsider their economic partnerships. The rhetoric alone, bold, confrontational, and unapologetically nationalistic, was enough to spark public outcry in cities from Berlin to Toronto and from Seoul to Sao Paulo, as protesters took to the streets not just against their own governments, but against American corporations doing business on their soil. One of the key triggers was a new wave of tariffs imposed on European and Asian imports, including auto parts, electronics, and green technologies. These policies were seen as provocations, an effort by the US to force more favorable trade conditions at the expense of others. In retaliation, leaders in France, Germany, Japan, and South Korea didn't just push back diplomatically. They encouraged citizens to support local businesses over American ones. Hashtags like #boycotts and Faith Dump the Dollar started trending worldwide, as consumers responded with a wave of grassroots economic activism, choosing to boycott major US brands like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Apple, Amazon, and Nike. But it wasn't just tariffs that fueled the movement. A series of high-profile incidents involving American foreign policy played a huge role. Drone strikes in the Middle East, a hardline stance on climate negotiations, and the withdrawal of support for international humanitarian aid. All of these decisions were viewed by much of the international community as further evidence that the US was abandoning global leadership in favor of short-term domestic wins. As these policies became headlines, they were met with growing frustration and, in some cases, rage from citizens and governments alike. The boycott also gained moral momentum through cultural and academic sectors. Influential voices in universities, music, and film began to call for intellectual disengagement with American institutions. Some festivals, conferences, and global events began declining US sponsorship or participation, as students in multiple countries urged their schools to reconsider partnerships with American corporations and universities. Even athletes and influencers took a stand, refusing deals or brand partnerships with US companies in protest. The economic effect of all this is beginning to show. In Q2 of 2025, US exports to Europe declined by nearly 18%, with certain sectors like agricultural goods and fashion seeing even larger dips. American-made cars saw a sharp decline in sales in Germany and France, while South Korean consumers began choosing local tech brands over US alternatives. American fast food chains that once symbolized Western culture in global cities are now seeing a drop in foot traffic, as with new local competitors stepping in to take their place. What makes this boycott movement unique is that it's not orchestrated by any one government or group. It's a decentralized, bottom-up form of protest, a kind of economic populism with international reach. Consumers are making choices based on principle, not just price or convenience. And while some politicians and CEOs in the US may dismiss this as a temporary trend or social media stunt, The numbers suggest otherwise. American companies are being forced to take notice, with several launching PR campaigns as lobbying foreign governments or rebranding themselves to appear more neutral or globally focused. Another critical point to understand is the role of digital activism. Social media has become the megaphone of the movement. Viral videos showing American drones in foreign skies or side-by-side comparisons of local and US products have spread widely, emotionally charging audiences and fueling momentum. The digital nature of this boycott makes it nearly impossible to control or predict. It evolves in real time, adapting with every new policy decision or viral news event. To be clear, not everyone supports the boycott. In many countries, as governments are trying to strike a balance between maintaining economic ties with the US and responding to public opinion. Some argue that boycotting US products could hurt local economies or cause job losses for workers employed by American companies abroad. But that hasn't slowed the movement down. If anything, it's drawing more attention to the broader conversation about globalization, fairness, and the responsibilities of superpowers in an interconnected world. The future of this movement is uncertain. Will it grow stronger and lead to long-term shifts in global trade? Or will it fade as diplomatic relationships reset and new administrations take office? Much depends on what comes next from Washington, whether the US chooses to double down on its nationalist policies or begin a new chapter of international cooperation. Either way, this boycott marks a turning point. It's a sign that the world is no longer willing to accept American dominance without question, and that economic protest is becoming one of the most powerful tools of international resistance in the 21st century. So if you're watching this from inside the US, this isn't just a foreign issue. It's a reflection of how the world sees America today. And if you're watching from outside the US, you're likely already part of this movement. Whether you've realized it or not, the global economy is no longer a one-way street, and in 2025 the world is beginning to push back.